Hello and welcome to this new version of YAG. This is version 0.16 and it's a feature update with three big ones and a few small ones. Let's start with the big ones. First, YAG can now run a little internal web server. This is quite a big topic, so let's just say here that it's now possible to interact with YAG from a web page and that YAG can now run its own website. It's all managed in this new window here. Everything is fully documented. We'll see that in a moment, so I'll be quick here. We can very easily create as many mini websites as we need, and we can access them from our local network or from anywhere on the internet if our computer is visible on the net. So it's very easy to share data about your campaign with your friends, either by distributing your website in a module or simply by giving your friends your public IP, public address, to access it on your computer. By the way, the public address is hidden by default because if you diffuse your game online, you might not want your public IP to be visible to everyone. I try to keep things simple for the users, so all we have to do is start the server by clicking this button here, and when the light is green, we can access the website, our site, from our local or public address displayed here. To quickly open your site, you can use this button here. It will launch an onboard browser on the local IP. So I have to say a few words here. As you can see, YAG comes now equipped with a full AAA onboard browser. It's the portable version of the Vivaldi browser, and I have to give an enormous thanks to Vivaldi here. I contacted them, of course, to ask for their permission to use and distribute their browser for free in a commercial product, which YAG is, and they answered very kindly and gave me their permission without asking anything in return, so that's very, very nice from them. So if you don't know it, Vivaldi is a very good modern browser. It's light, it's fast, it's highly configurable with a very intuitive UI, and it respects your privacy. So I'm very happy that I can include it in YAG and very grateful once again to Vivaldi for their kindness. So of course, having an onboard browser is not mandatory. Any website can be accessed from any browser, but it comes with a few advantages for YAG. First, very important, I know exactly what it can do. So for example, I can prepare and open the PDF documentation in it, being sure that they will open. After all, I have no guarantee that every user is equipped with a PDF reading browser. So now all the PDF in YAG will open in the browser, which is much more comfortable to use than the old YAG UI. It's faster. You can open multiple PDF at the same time, and it doesn't take any space on the YAG screen, of course. Also, I can configure it specifically for YAG. For example, I can add bookmarks without messing up with the user's browser. So here we have a few links, to getting started, tutorial, cheat sheet, and some help here. We have a button that will open directly the YAG website on the side. So that's very cool. And finally, I can prepare a theme with the colors of YAG. So it looks more like an extension of the YAG UI. So of course, YAG comes with a small example website, so you can use it out of the box. This small site is just a simple UI to manage and use the YAG character sheets, dice, turn order, and obviously the journal on the right. You can add the character sheets, modify them. Let's display one. You can modify them. Okay, you can even add a picture, as you can see, which is impossible directly in YAG. Okay. And at the moment, this is all we can do. We cannot manage all the lighting effect, clouds, atmosphere, visual options, etc. I wanted to start little, with the bare necessities for the users, character sheet, dice, turn order, and journal. But if the feature is appreciated, I will add other options in the API. So you can see we can run dice, check some skills, etc., etc. By the way, if you want to connect with a telephone or a tablet to use them as a distant UI, you might appreciate this little button right here, which gives you a QR code that you can scan to connect to the site. You can also send it to your friend, etc. So in principle, you never have to copy paste the address. Okay, this is a huge topic, so I'm going to stop here. But if you want to go further, there is 2 PDF for that. So the first is a simple non-technical one to explain how to use this window. That's your usual documentation available from the button here on the web server window. So it will explain to you, all the basics, how to use the window, what it means, and the fields in it, and so on and so on. And second, you have a more technical PDF with details on the network architecture. It's available here on the documentation page of YAG. It's in the YAG HTTP REST API section. So let's open it. Okay, and you can see you have here the full documentation about the network architecture of YAG, how it works and so on. And then, of course, the complete reference documentation for the whole API, all the orders you can give to YAG. Okay, so all in all, the takeaway from this short presentation is that YAG can run a website. YAG can be given orders through a network, and the combination of those 2 features allows us to create some interactive web character sheets. Okay, so that was the huge new feature of this release. We still have 2 other quite big ones, although more classical. So I'm going to start by stopping the server here. We won't need it anymore. And I'm going full screen. All right. So first I have to talk about a small new feature because I need it for the next big one. Some pwn have the ability to have some internal animations like opening chest or doors. So at the moment there is no animated door. They will come in the next release, but you can see how it works on chest. So let's go here. It's quite easy. We have a new slider here. We select the chest and then we move the slider and it opens the chest and hopefully soon the doors. Okay? Simple and easy. While I'm here, another very small minor detail here. I have added a button to get the pwn's tray directly from this window here. Okay, so back to the big feature. Each pwn has now a possibly private light that only the player owning the pwn can see. It can, for example, be used as night vision. It can also be public, and then everyone will see it, and it can be used for the visual ambience. Let me show you that quickly with those 3 objects by turning on then their lights. Okay, 4, including the succubus. I'm going to switch off the sun here to make things a bit more visible. Okay, so we have a few options right here. We can switch on the light only for the owner here or for everybody here, and we can relocate it with those 3 coordinates. Okay. Now don't forget that ownership in YAG is made through character sheets, so by default those lights will be public no matter what you check here, so don't be surprised. If you want a light to be private, you first have to attach the pwn to a character sheet and own the character sheet. Okay, like those one here. Can see that I'm owning the Minotaur because my name is here. Okay, and then and only then you can play with the private and public options. This little option here will display, as you can see, a small visual tool to see exactly where the source of the light is located. So we can now see that for this one, the light is in front of it. I've moved it in front of it. You can see from its coordinates here, and for this one it is above it, right, as you can see from the coordinates. Now for this one is a bit special because I moved the light inside, and so we have to open it to see the light. Okay, which is quite cool, right? Okay, so let's go on with the next big feature. I'm going to turn off those lights, close the chest, and turn on the sun back. Okay. So, next big feature, it's now possible to see other players' view with the options to go to them or bring them to us. So we have a new menu here at the bottom left, right? Listing all the connected players, so only me at the moment, obviously. And for each player, a button will open this new window. It allows us to see what the player sees and to control it to some extent. Okay, so of course at the moment, because I'm the only one connected, I can see only my camera, which is of limited interest, but you get the point. Now, Dungeon Master players cannot see each other's. Each player has to allow their screen to be shared in order to be visible by other players. This is done in the players option here, right here, okay? Allow view sharing. So you can allow or forbid other players to see your screen here. So all this can be very useful as the Dungeon Master to see what a player is doing or to bring them back to us. Okay, using those buttons here to go to them, bring them back to us, or even display a few information about the state of a player. Okay, and obviously I forgot to mention it, but the Dungeon Master can see everything without any permission because you know it's the Dungeon Master. All right, so let's finish this presentation with the little things. It should be fast, hopefully. So first of all, you may have noticed that the real-time controls help has been greatly improved, and it's hopefully now starting to be usable and useful. It now makes the difference between keyboard and gamepad. So here I'm using the keyboard, but if I start moving with the gamepad, you can see that it displays everything that I can do with the gamepad. And if I'm back to the keyboard, it brings me back the keyboard controls. Okay. We can expand or collapse it very quickly, so we can just display it when we need it and hide it otherwise. And if we really don't want it, we can simply hide it completely using this option here. Next, there is a sort of laser pointer for every player shared with all the players. So you activate it by holding the caps lock key and everybody will see it. So that's very useful to show something to everyone on the map. We now have 3 new viewing options available in the players options here. Okay, so the perspective, regular one, which is the default one, we have a 90 degrees, so top-down view one. Okay, and we have an orthographic one, which is a top-down with no perspective, just completely 2D. Okay, so let's come back with the regular default perspective. Very minor detail. You might have noticed that the content and pawn icons have been swapped. The buttons are exactly the same, no worries. I only changed the icons because the chess seems best suited to the general idea of content, while the pawn is better describing, you know, the pawn windows. Next, the dungeon shape. Where is it here? Okay. The dungeon shape list labels have been revised. Okay. Also in the little things, the dungeon panel is now displaying an estimated size of the dungeon, which can be very useful. And finally, the pawns. The pawn scale is now displayed as a coefficient instead of its values in meters. Okay. So it is now easier to keep all the pawns in scale. If you want, for example, to double all the scale, you just have to put a 2 here. And you don't have to worry about the respective size of the warrior and the Minotaur. Okay. All right, I think that we've seen everything. As you can see, this version is very rich in big and useful features. I'm very happy with it, and I hope you will enjoy it too. Thank you very much for watching this video, and hopefully see you in the next. Bye.